My wife drained our joint account and texted, "Starting my new life. Don't follow me." I replied, "I won't." Then I reported the classic car she took with her stolen to the police. The Border Patrol called me 12 hours later. 38 male, woke up this morning to two things. First, an empty space in the bed next to me. Not entirely unusual. Clara, 36, sometimes got up early to do yoga. Second, a text message on my phone, sent at 4:12 a.m. "Clara, starting my new life. Don't follow me." I stared at it for a good minute, the sleep sand still in my eyes. It didn't feel real. It felt like a line from a bad movie. I typed back a reply without thinking, a reflex. "Me? I won't." Then I got up. The house was too quiet. Her closets were half empty. Her toiletries were gone from the bathroom. A surreal checklist started forming in my head. My heart hammered as I went to my banking app. The joint savings account, where we kept our emergency fund and money I'd earmarked for a workshop extension, was sitting at $78.04. Yesterday, it held just over $62,000. A single large transfer and electronic withdrawal made at 3:30 a.m. A wave of something cold washed over me, but it wasn't panic. It was a strange, hollow clarity. I knew, even then, the hard truth about joint accounts. Legally, the money was as much hers as mine. I couldn't call the cops and say she stole it. That would be a civil matter, a bloody, protracted fight for a divorce judge. It was a betrayal of trust, a devastating blow, but likely not a crime. My hands were tied on that front, at least for now. I didn't yell, I didn't punch a wall, I just walked to the kitchen and made coffee. A dark roast, the expensive kind she always complained about. I drank it black. Then I went to the garage, and there it was, the real gut punch. The thing that made this criminal. The empty bay where my car was supposed to be. My 1969 Mustang Mach 1. It wasn't our car, it was my car. It was my father's. He left it to me when he passed, a rusted-out shell I spent 5 years and thousands of dollars restoring. Every bolt, every piece of chrome, every inch of the hand-stitched leather on the seats, I did it myself. The title is in my name, and my name alone. It was a premarital asset, my one tangible link to him. My artifact. Clara knew what that car meant to me. She called it my mistress, sometimes jokingly, sometimes not. And she took it. She took the money because she felt entitled. She took the car to hurt me. It was a calculated final twist of the knife, and it was her fatal mistake. I drank the rest of my coffee, standing in the oil-stained spot where my Mustang should have been. So I responded with my own calculation. I didn't call her. I didn't text her friends. I called my local police department's non-emergency line. I calmly explained that my vehicle, a vintage 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1, license plate redacted, VIN redacted, had been taken from my garage sometime in the early hours of the morning. "Do you know who might have taken it?" the officer asked. "I believe my estranged wife took it," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She left me this morning and appears to have taken the vehicle without my permission. I need to be very clear. The car is my sole property. It's a premarital asset, and the title is exclusively in my name. She has no legal right to it." The officer was professional. He understood the distinction. This wasn't a marital spat over a shared minivan. This was the unauthorized taking of separate property. He took the details. I emailed him a copy of the title and registration while we were on the phone. A bolo, be on the lookout, was issued. The official charge, grand theft auto, a felony. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. I called my lawyer, David, and left a detailed message. I called my boss, took the next few days off. I sat on the couch and just existed. The silence in the house was deafening. There was a brief moment, maybe around 2 p.m., where the vulnerability hit. A crushing weight. Had our entire 10-year marriage been a lie? Was I that much of a fool? I let myself feel it for about 5 minutes, then I packed it away. Emotion wasn't going to solve this. At 5:45 p.m., my phone rang. It was the local police department. "Mr. My last name," the officer said, "we've had a hit on your bolo, a big one. Your vehicle was flagged by Customs and Border Protection at the port of entry attempting to cross into Mexico. CBP has detained the driver and a passenger. We need you to come down to the station to sign a formal statement confirming you wish to press charges." My jaw tightened. "A passenger?" "Yes, sir. We don't have the details on that yet, but CBP is holding them for us." The fact that she was attempting to leave the country makes this a much more serious situation. It establishes clear intent. So I need to ask again, formally, do you wish to proceed? I looked around the empty living room. I thought about the drained bank account I couldn't touch her for. I thought about the empty space in my garage. This was my only move, my only path to any kind of justice. Yes, I said, my voice as steady as a rock. Absolutely, I wish to press charges. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks of a special kind of hell. Thanks for the comments and messages. It's validating to know I'm not insane. Here's the rundown. The male passenger was, as I suspected, a guy from Clara's work named Julian. A sales director with slicked back hair and teeth too white to be real. Their plan was to drive my Mustang into Mexico, sell it. A vintage Mach 1 fetches a high price there, legally or not, and start their new life funded by the $62. Because she attempted to cross an international border, Clara was held for a few days before being extradited back to our state to face charges. The DA is not playing around. The charge is grand theft auto, and the fact she was caught fleeing the country makes her a major flight risk. Her bail was set at $50,000. The first call I got, inevitably, was from her mother, Eleanor. "Leo, what is this I'm hearing?" she shrieked. "No hello." "Good morning, Eleanor. To what are you referring?" I kept my voice monotone, just as my lawyer David advised. "Clara is in jail. They're saying she stole the Mustang. You need to go down there and tell them it was a misunderstanding. Fix this right now." "There's nothing to fix," I said calmly. "The car is my personal property. Clara took it without permission to flee the country. The police have a copy of the title. My lawyer has advised me not to interfere with the criminal investigation." "It's a marital car," her father, Richard, yelled, having grabbed the phone. "You can't do this to her. She was just upset. You two had a fight, and she needed some space." "A fight?" "Richard, the last words she spoke to me were in a text message telling me she was starting a new life. As for the car, it is legally not a marital asset. David can explain it to your lawyer if you'd like. She committed a felony. This is the consequence." The conversation ended with them threatening legal action against me. It was a hollow, ridiculous threat. They bailed her out 2 days ago, which I later learned required them to take out a high-interest loan from a bail bondsman, secured against their home. Then came the predictable dirty trick, the social media smear campaign. Eleanor's Facebook page became a shrine to St. Clara the martyr. Long, vague posts about my emotional unavailability and controlling nature, how my obsession with the stupid car drove Clara away. She claimed Clara borrowed the car in a moment of distress, and my vindictive nature led me to report it stolen. My name and face are being passed around their community groups. David advised me to ignore it. "Let them scream into the void, Leo. It's inadmissible in court, but it shows a pattern of malicious behavior that we can use later." David has been my rock. We've had 2 long meetings. He's been very clear. We are fighting 2 separate wars. The criminal case, this is the state versus Clara. My role is as the victim and key witness. This is where she pays for taking the car. The civil case, divorce, this is me versus Clara. This is where we will fight over the money she took. He explained the term financial dissipation. In our state, if one spouse takes a huge sum of money from a joint account for non-marital purposes, like running off with an affair partner, right before a divorce, a judge can order it be paid back out of their share of the assets. Last night, there was a knock at the door. It was Clara. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were burning with entitlement. "You have to drop the charges, Leo," she said, her voice raspy. "I can't," I said through the screen door. "It's the state's case now. I'm a witness." This was another line from David. "It's technically true and removes me from the position of power she thinks I have. Don't give me that legal bull. You're the victim. If you tell them you don't want to proceed, they'll drop it. This is ruining my life. You should have considered that before you loaded your bags into my car and drove it towards the border." The mask of the victim slipped. "You owe me," she spat. 10 years of my life I wasted on you in that garage. I deserved that money. It was our money. And the car is just a hunk of metal. You're ruining my entire future over a thing. Goodbye, Clara," I said, and slowly closed the main door, locking it. I heard her scream in frustration before stomping back to the curb where Julian was waiting in a cheap rental. I'm filing for divorce this week. This is just the beginning, and I get the feeling it's going to be a long, ugly road. Update 2. It's been 8 months. 8 months of the slow, grinding, and soul-crushing churn of the legal system. Anyone who thinks justice is swift has never been through it. Clara and her family tried their next brilliant move about 6 months ago, filing a restraining order against me. The filing was pure fiction, claiming I was harassing her and that she was in fear for her life. They twisted my one calm conversation at the front door into a series of veiled threats. The hearing was a joke. David let her and her lawyer present their case. Clara cried on the stand, her mother testified, then David simply presented the facts. Clara's own text message, my complete lack of contact, and the fact that the only post-separation contact was initiated by her when she came to my house after being bailed out of jail for a felony. The judge was a sharp older woman who didn't suffer fools. She dismissed the TRO with prejudice, meaning they can't file it again, and admonished Clara's lawyer for bringing a frivolous and clearly vindictive action before her court. It was a small victory, but it felt good. The divorce proceedings are a slog. They are fighting everything. Their angle on the money is that it was a verbal gift from her father, which she was simply reclaiming. Of course, there's no proof. We, on the other hand, have years of bank statements showing the deposits from my bonuses that funded the account. The discovery process is tedious, swapping financial documents, scheduling depositions. Julian, the affair partner, stuck around longer than I thought. His loyalty lasted right up until David's office served him with a subpoena to be deposed in our divorce case. 2 weeks later, his lawyer informed us he would be pleading the Fifth and had moved out of the apartment he was sharing with Clara. He wasn't willing to perjure himself for her, nor was he interested in being legally entangled in her mess. She's been alone for the last 3 months. I finally got the Mustang back from the impound lot in December. It took almost 6 months. It sat in an evidence lot, exposed to the elements, while the legal motions played out. It was heartbreaking to see. There's a new dent in the quarter panel. The clutch is shot from her driving it like a maniac, and the interior smelled of stale cigarettes and cheap perfume. I found a crumpled receipt from a gas station a few miles from the border crossing, time-stamped at 4:55 a.m. on that morning. The disrespect of it all. It solidified my resolve. Any lingering pity I had for her has evaporated. It's been replaced by a grim determination to see this through to the end. My life has been on hold, buried in legal fees and paperwork. The criminal trial is finally scheduled for next month. Her lawyer has been trying to get a plea deal, but the DA isn't offering a good one. Pleading guilty to a felony is their only real option to avoid trial and guaranteed jail time. But Clara's arrogance is so profound she still thinks she can win. This is a war of attrition. They thought I would give up, that I would buckle to save time and money. They underestimated how much that car meant to me, and how stubborn I can be when I've been wronged. Final update. It's been 18 months since my life was upended. It's finally over. I'm sitting in my garage, a glass of whiskey on my workbench. The Mustang is still in pieces, but it's a clean, organized disassembly. Every part is being restored. It's a project. It's my therapy. Thank you all for following this journey. Knowing strangers were rooting for me made the isolation more bearable. Here's how the saga ended. The criminal case. Clara's day in court came and went. Faced with a mountain of evidence and the testimony of 2 Border Patrol officers, her lawyer finally convinced her that a trial would be a slaughter. At the last minute, she accepted a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of felony grand theft auto. The sentencing was 2 months ago. She stood before the judge and had to admit what she did. She was sentenced to 5 years of supervised probation and 200 hours of community service. The judge also ordered her to pay restitution for the full cost of the impound fees and the damage to the Mustang, which came out to $8,450. The felony on her record is the real-life sentence. That mark will follow her forever. The divorce and the money. The divorce was finalized last month after a brutal 2-day trial. The judge was the same one who had thrown out her restraining order. She remembered Clara. Our lawyer David methodically proved the source of the funds in the savings account. He proved Clara's adultery with the deposition from a former colleague. He proved her malicious intent with the details from the criminal case. The final judgment was devastating for her. The judge ruled that the $62,450 she took was an act of egregious financial dissipation. The divorce decree awarded me the house, my entire pension, and a money judgment against her for the full $62,450 she took. The reality of justice. So on paper, I won. Completely. Clara is a convicted felon on probation and owes me a total of $70,900, $62,450 plus $8,450. But here's the reality they don't show in movies. That $70,900 is a judgment, not a check. It's a piece of paper that says she owes me. Clara, a felon, is working a part-time retail job. David has already started the process to garnish her wages, but the amount she'll be forced to pay is laughably small. After taxes and her own living expenses, I might see $100 a month. If I'm lucky, I will likely never recover the full amount. And I've accepted that. My victory isn't financial. My victory is that the truth is now a matter of public record. Her lies failed. Her entitlement was punished. Her attempt to ruin me ended up ruining her. Her parents are financially crippled. Their house is heavily mortgaged to pay for her bail and failed legal defense. Their relationship with Clara is, from what I hear, incredibly strained. They enabled her, and they paid the price. I sold the house last week. I'm closing on a smaller place with a bigger garage next month. I need a fresh start. Working on the Mustang, bolt by bolt, has been the most healing part of this. Taking something broken and methodically making it whole again. It won't be the same car it was. It will have scars and I'll know the story behind every one, but it will be stronger. I don't feel elation. I don't feel joy at her downfall. I just feel quiet. The world is back on its proper axis. She made her choices, and I simply refused to let her escape the consequences. I didn't have to be a hero or a monster. I just had to be patient and let the system she tried to cheat do its slow, methodical work. It was a long, hard road, but I'm finally on the other side. And I'm free.